Welcome everyone to Bookwrights House, where conversations with authors help us dive deeper into the stories and minds behind the pages. Today, we're honored to continue a dialogue that began just a few weeks ago with a remarkable author whose work blends spiritual reflection, scholarly insight, and heartfelt conviction. We're joined by the Reverend Dr. Roland Zimany, author of Sermons with Insight. And his sermons offer more than weekly reflections. They are call to action, to meaning, and to personal transformation with a background that spans government service, academia, and decades in the pulpit. Dr. Roland brings deep wisdom, a compassionate heart, and a fearless pursuit of justice to every message he shares. Good afternoon, Dr. Roland. I'm Elijah Barcelona, and it's a true pleasure to welcome you here virtually with us at Bookwrights House. Thank you for joining us here today. So, to start the interview, let's begin with the book itself, Sermons with Insight. Can you share how the idea for this collection first came to you? Was there a moment of inspiration, or did it unfold gradually over time?
I'd say it unfolded gradually over time. And it is a collection of sermons. So I have sermons for different times of the church year: Advent, Christmas, Easter, Pentecost, all those kinds. And after after visiting, having retired from the ministry at some point and visiting other churches, I found myself thinking my sermons weren't too bad after all. So why don't I put them together in this collection that I have of them? And that's what resulted in the book.
So I'm always curious about an author's rhythm. How does your typical writing day look like for you? Do you plan what you write, or do you let your thoughts lead the way as they come and go?
Well, it's both at different times. I mean, especially this book dealing with scripture readings of each different Sunday. I know what kind of passages I'm going to be dealing with. Sometimes it's evident to me what I want to point out in those passages. At other times, in the process of thinking what I'm going to point out, some other idea hits me that I hadn't thought of before, and that brings it into the sermon.
So the sermons in this book feel both deeply personal and widely relevant. When you're developing these reflections, do you find they evolve naturally, or do they sometimes surprise you as they come to life on the page?
Well, okay, there's a little bit of that is in the process of following a pattern that I'm following in preparing the sermon. Something hits me that I hadn't thought of when I started preparing this sermon, and so that found its way into what I finally end up creating in the sermon.
Okay, so can you tell me a particular sermon or section in the book that was specifically difficult to write, or perhaps one that came especially easily? So either one of those.
Well, that's a reasonable question, but I don't have an answer. I mean, see, especially since it's not a storyline. Every sermon is for a different Sunday at a different time. So some sermons may have been easier for me to think about what I would say in connection with them, and others might not. But that's giving you as much of an answer as I think I'm going to be able to give you.
Okay. Okay, let's proceed. So let's talk about the world within the pages. Okay. For those just discovering your work, how would you describe the tone and spiritual perspective of Sermons with Insight?
How would I describe the tone?
The tone, the way you wrote your story, and the spiritual perspective of sermons with insight.
It tries to take the scripture passage, and of course, most Sundays in Lutheran churches anyway, there are three different kinds of passages from Old Testament and New Testament and epistles. It takes the messages of those three scripture lessons and tries to apply them to what's going on in the present world and in our location. Um, so that's the overall pattern. I'm as I'm preparing the sermon, I'm thinking, what is it going on here that these scripture passages could say something about to people in the congregation that would be helpful or meaningful to the people in the congregation.
Looking at your journey to become a published author, what's one challenge that really stood out along the way, and what did it teach you?
Well, I guess the answer is at the end of my time in the ministry, when I had this collection of sermons, I found myself thinking, these are pretty good sermons. It might be useful to other clergymen and people in general to read if they're interested in that sort of thing. And so I said, long as and I just about all of the sermons I have in some kind of printed forms. It's not a printed form that usually I'm using when I'm actually preaching. I might just have an outline or some notes that I'm preaching, but at some point, all of the words of the sermon were written down, and now they're in a book, and you can buy it at Sermons with Insight, um, at hopefully a good bookstore. That's
Okay, so your writing has both clarity and depth. So, are there certain authors or theologians or even artists who have influenced your voice and style when it comes to writing?
I think the answer is no, uh, or or it's such an indirect influence that I don't know whether I'd be able to identify a particular person. Uh, there are ministers where I was part of their congregation that influenced me enough to stop working in the public sector and go to seminary and become a minister myself. But that was a long time ago. So. Uh,
So, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice as a writer or even as a preacher, what would it be?
Try to make what you're saying relate to things actually occurring in the life of the people that you're talking to. There, that's a one sentence answer. And uh,
Yeah, very meaningful. Okay, so thank you for that. Next, we will talk about connecting with readers. Okay, so every book finds its way into different hearts. What do you hope readers will take away from Sermons with Insight, and what kind of journey do you hope they experience?
well, it's really impossible to generalize because different people reading a book of sermons will have different kinds of backgrounds, different concerns, and and they'll find particular sermons that are meaningful to them that others might have skipped over because they're being impressed with other sermons. Um, so that's the kind of answer I have to give. Um,
It's really short, but it's meaningful. Okay. Next question. What is your favorite way to connect with readers whether through book signing, social media, or thoughtful conversations like this one. So, how do you like to connect with the readers?
by, by having conversations with them concerning probably uh, some issue they're raising based on having um, seen something in my book of sermons that they want to ask about or talk about.
Yes, that goes down to how do you feel when you see someone reading your book or spot it on a shelf in a bookstore? Yeah,
I,
just a bit
I,
of. Mhm.
okay, I think, oh, this person seems interested in this kind of thing. I I wonder whether when kind of flipping through the book, he sees enough in it that makes him feel it's worth purchasing the book. That he could benefit from it as a result of buying it.
Yes, you see. How do you feel when you see them? Like, is it fulfilling, or how do you feel?
It's good to see in this world that there are people who would be interested in a book of sermons, at least even to the point of noticing it, and in their case, even probably picking it up to see more about what's in it. Um, so I'm pleased to see that that's happening.
Indeed, it's great to see people, getting interested in your works. So, okay, beyond this book, what is the one project you would most love to write in the future if time and resources were no object?
I don't think I have any other book in mind that I would like to write. And at age 88, that's sort of enough. But no, I don't have any future project about putting together another book or writing another book.
Okay, what if your book were to be adopted into a film or TV show? Who would you want to play the main characters?
See, yours is not a question that applies really to my book because my book doesn't have a storyline that proceeds throughout the book. Uh, it's focusing on one thing this week and then another thing another week and another thing another week from sometimes from way back in ancient times, other other times in more relevant times. Um, so I don't think I can give a meaningful answer to the question that you've asked.
Okay, for this is for the last question. For those
Okay.
people who are unfamiliar with your work or this type of genres, how would you describe the genre and the tone of this book to people who seem to be uninterested with this one?
It's a book that deals with a variety of issues, a variety of problems, um, because they come up, Sunday after Sunday at different times during the year, and something in it probably would strike home to anyone considering the book, um, just because of its variety and well, I guess that's the answer. Because of its variety, they'll find something they like or find worthwhile.
Okay, that's a really good answer, actually. Thank you for that. Okay, so to end this interview, Dr. Roland, thank you for spending this afternoon with us and for giving us a window into your life's work and wisdom. Sermons with Insight is not only a meaningful spiritual guide, it's a testament to the power of thoughtful reflection in a complex world. We are honored to have had you here as part of this ongoing conversation. To all our viewers and listeners, Thank you for being part of today's event. We hope this inspires you to look a little deeper, live a little more intentionally, and perhaps pick up the pen yourselves. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep discovering stories that matter.